I welcome you. I'm Jim Hale. I'm with the Society. I wish you a Happy New Year because we are just beginning our year. And we're off to a flying start. We have lots of competition today. So, how the Patriots doing, we know?
14 to 10. They were winning 10-7, but I guess Seattle it was caught up.
I need you to keep me.
Sorry?
I need you to keep me informed, okay?
I'll monitor it for all of us.
If you're visiting, please grab a newsletter on your way out. They are within the rubber bands over there. Of course, global warming is bad until you get to a September afternoon when it's 80 degrees. You say, hey, this is kind of nice, isn't it?
Yes.
We have a raffle at the end. It's a fall, looks like a loan basket back there. Thank you to Brakes. Sandy has tickets in the back. About 10 minutes after Joe finishes, we will stop and draw a name. I want to thank you to our bakers. Can I read my writing here? Beth, Michelle, and Paula. Thank you very much. Sandy wants to talk about the psychic fair, but obviously if we were psychics, we would already know. What do you got to say? Next week, is it?
I'm sorry?
The psychic fair?
Yeah, that's next Saturday. It's 12 noon to 5, although the psychics are supposed to go for 15 or 20 minutes, but sometimes they're more yappy, so I might get out of there at 6 or 7. It's going to be at the Falls Fire Barn, 100 Commonwealth Avenue, and parking is on Saturday, the 21st. We have Sandy Vandette from the Bristol County Savings Bank has let us use her parking lot for many years after the bank closed. So that's an extra area to park at. Don't forget the block party on the 18th here in North Attleborough, and my church, Central Congregational Church, is going to be holding a month-long pumpkin patch that was moved from the Methodist Church to our church at 115 Commonwealth Avenue, and now I'll zipper it up.
Our next meeting is in October. It's the third Sunday. It's October 20th. And Ryan and Emily Bouchard will be with us to talk about mushroom hunting in Massachusetts. And Ryan got all excited when he found he would be here in October, because apparently that's a good time to hunt mushrooms. So apparently Ryan is a very fun guy. I wasn't sure if that would fall flat. So that's October. November 23rd is a Saturday before Thanksgiving. You're coming here for our Christmas fair. These are a few of our favorite things. You want to say anything, Gary?
Sure. We're still looking for donations. We're looking for items. We're particularly looking for some vintage items, like if you have some Buyer's Choice Carolers doll that you would like to rehome, we would be happy to take them. We had a great success with them last year, and people are looking for them. So if you have items, we'd be happy to take it, and we would love to see you on the 23rd.
Okay. And which brings us to today's presentation. Joe and Diane Landry are here, and Joe's going to tell us about his passion with the railroad, especially North Attleborough railroads. A lot of you know that Janet and I sold 2 years ago from Fales Road. We downsized. Up on Fales Road, we had a 500-foot driveway out into our plot of land. We've kept in touch with the buyers, and he emailed me once, and his name is Troy, and he said, you step out back and you're standing in the middle of the woods, and it's stone quiet, and I can hear trains. And he said, where are they coming from? I don't know if they're coming from South Attleborough, or they're coming from Cumberland. Maybe Joe will tell us where they're coming from. So, Joe and Diane, thank you for coming, and welcome.
Okay.
Can we turn the lights up?
Yeah, please. So thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah. I love railroads. I was brought up in Franklin, and I was brought up in the shadow of the train station in Franklin, right on Dean Avenue. So that was my backyard, and I've always loved trains, and I love history too. So I figured let's put a presentation together about the railroads in North Attleborough. Now, I have different sources of information. I thank the North Attleborough Historical Society. And there was a book, The Images of North Attleborough, was put out by Bob Lanfer and Mr. Donnelly and Cunningham. Had a lot of information from there, borrowed a few pictures from them. There's another book that's excellent, The Pictorial History of the Attleboroughs, that was published by the Sun Chronicle. Bill Hannon wrote a nice article in the Sun Chronicle back in March of 1999 that was very helpful to me. And then there's these maps, they're called the Sanborn Fire Insurance maps, that really helped me to get a lot of information. And then other personal pictures and postcards. Bob Lanfer has given me a lot of nice postcards and pictures. So putting it all together, it gives me the chance to really talk about the history of North Attleborough. Now, there were 4 railroad lines that actually passed through North Attleborough. The first one was the Attleborough Branch Railroad that went from North Attleborough to Attleborough. And I'm going to go over each one of these lines in detail. The next one that came through was the Rhode Island and Massachusetts Railroad. That started in Franklin and went down to Valley Falls, Rhode Island. And Valley Falls is a part of Cumberland, Rhode Island. And then the third one was the Old Colony Railroad that started at Norwood Central and went past the behind the Webster Building and down to down there. And then the fourth one was the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad. We call that the New Haven Railroad. That went from North Attleborough to Adamsdale Junction. So as I say, we'll talk about each one of them. We'll start with the very first one that was built, the Attleborough Branch Railroad. It was built in 1867. And it was chartered on February 8th in 1867. It opened to traffic on January 9th, 1870. And was leased to the Boston and Providence Railroad for 30 years on December 30th, 1870. And the man who was responsible was Henry F. Barrows. Now, a lot of you people remember, well, you don't remember him, but you know the name Henry F. Barrows. Ooh, boy, I'm going to get in trouble here. Henry Barrows was obviously a businessman in town, and he established a railroad. And he formed a company, the Henry F. Barrows Company, over on Broad Street. It was on the corner of Broad Street and Division Street. And this building was established in 1860 and was known as the Beehive. And you probably say, well, it looks a little familiar. Well, guess what? It's still there. I don't know if a lot of you recognize it. Oh, well, there you go. Hey, see? Now, let's go back and forth. You can see how they added on to it. See?
Wow.
Yeah, and then the dormers, see the dormers? Those dormers were not there. But basically, it's the same building. Yeah, since 1860. That's where Henry F. Barrows got his start. Imagine that. And, of course, the Henry F. Barrows Company, he established this in 1907. And obviously, it's today's police station. And his house was right across the street from the police station, up where the town hall and the town pool are. That was his home. Now, this train station was
The chairs in the back.
There's a chair right here.
the train station for the railroad was right where Holbrook Avenue is today. There's like an old gas station there now, whatever. But that's where this building was, right at Holbrook Avenue. And unfortunately, this building was destroyed by fire in 1893. But that's where the train started. Now here's I love Google Earth because it shows all what it looks like today. And it's updated to the point where you can actually see the new 21 East over there on East Street. And you can see Holbrook Avenue. You can see the Henry F. Barrows Company, today's police station. And you can see East Street. And then I'm pretty sure that's about the approximate place where the freight house and depot were. Okay. Now here's a map from around 1885. And you can see the freight house right there. And you can see eventually they extended East Street over to Chestnut Street, but that was not there at that time. But what was there was the W.H. Riley Coal Yard. Now, when you see W.H. Riley, they were established in 1873, I think it was. They're celebrating their 125th anniversary. Well, guess what? That's where they started, right there. Yep. And let's see what else. So that's kind of the area as it looked back then. Now, there was a couple of there was an unfortunate situation that happened. You see it's like a turntable right there. And then you can see an engine house.
The little pink thing?
Yeah, well, right up just above the arrow. There was a turntable there. Well, unfortunately, the first train that ran was coming into North Attleborough, and right where the switch is, the engineer didn't notice that the switch was not lined up to the freight house. It was lined up to the turntable, and he only realized it at the last second. Now, luckily, the turntable was lined up with the track, but the train crashed through the building and ended up on the front lawn of Henriette Barrows. So nobody got hurt, but just it was kind of embarrassing. So the engineer was obviously taken by surprise, and to put it bluntly. So that was kind of unfortunate, but anyway, that was the first run of the train. So now here's where we're going to follow the train as it left that train station and went to Attleborough. Now the red line shows East Washington Street, today's East Washington Street. You can see where J Street is, Chestnut Street. Now that red line is where we call it the bypass. That's where Route 1 is today. But that red line that road was not there at that time. And Jefferson Street is that part of Jefferson Street is today's East Washington Street. But that was Jefferson Street back then. But anyway, you can see the freight house down at the bottom of the screen, and you can see now, obviously the blue indicates where the tracks were. The tracks went over the 10-mile river, and then it ran alongside the left side of Chestnut Street. Not on the street, but just to the side of it. Every time I drive down Chestnut Street, I'm imagining the train going right by, right on the left. Yeah? So that's where the train started, and it kept going. And then when it got to the intersection of Elm Street and Chestnut, it went across the street, and then it went down the right side of Elm Street. But then you look at Elm Street and say, what's those dotted lines? That was the streetcar. Now the streetcar went down the middle of the road. So at some point you had two trains going down Elm Street. Yeah. And the tracks on the left side, on the right side of the picture, we're going to talk about those later. Those are not there. Those are not there when the first railroad was established. We'll talk about that one later, though. And then we continue on, and we get to Mount Hope Street, and the railroad train went over Mount Hope Street, and you can see the trolley took a right turn under the tracks and continued on. But we won't talk about the trolleys. So it continued on. You can see the green arrow points to where the firehouse is, the museum, and that's Commonwealth Avenue, where it crossed over. And it crossed over there at grade. And we'll see a picture of that later. And then it continued on to Attleborough, and then there's where it connected to the Boston and Providence Railroad. So the whole idea of the railroad was to have a link from North Attleborough to Attleborough, and that's where it connected to Attleborough. Okay.
Joe, can I interrupt?
Yep, sure.
At that point,
Anybody has questions, feel free.
at that point where it connected, would trains actually go from the local track onto the main line, or would you get off and switch trains?
No, I guess it would get onto the line. They're connected there.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if you look very carefully where it connects,
Yep.
you see there's another train coming in from the other side.
Yeah.
That line's still there today.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's about where it connected.
Okay.
And I got a funny feeling that it was not raised up as high as it is today. I think it was lower because, in Attleborough, when they put that, the train used to be at street level in
Yes.
Attleborough until they put the arches in. But anyway, that's where it connected.
If you go down Peck Street in Attleborough, you can see a little bare spot.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Well, you're gonna see exactly that, yeah. Because I went down there and I wanted to investigate that area, and I took some pictures and actually some videos too.
The
So,
last section of Elm Street today,
yeah,
that goes into Commonwealth,
Yeah.
that actually is the path of the old tracks.
exactly. That's right. Yeah, that was not when they took.
There was no road there on the map.
Exactly, that was the train tracks. It was just a railroad bed, and then when they pulled the railroad up, then they made that a street. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's Google Earth pictures, and we're gonna go on a little helicopter ride, or even a great big drone. Take your pick. Okay, we'll start at where the freight house was, and we're gonna go down, Holbrook Avenue, roughly. And here's where we're gonna cross over Route 1, today's Route 1. Now, the arrow is pointing to the place on the 10-mile river, and I took the following video. Let's see if it works. Yep.
Right now, I'm standing next to the 10-mile river. And just over there is Holbrook Avenue.
Yeah, that's where Holbrook Avenue. I'm going to kill my volume. I'll just talk through it. You can see this. See that right there? That tells me that's where the bridge was. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And you see those square footprints or those square things? Oh, and that too. That's got to be the remnants of the bridge. I'm convinced of it. And then you can see those pads. You know, so that's looking at Holbrook Avenue right there. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. Yep, there's more of those pads. And a little bit of debris. And obviously the trees have since grown in and everything. So yeah, I went back there and I wanted to check that out. Yeah. It's not that really deep either, but yeah, okay. Then we continue on, and this is roughly where the train crossed over to the right side of Elm. And it continued on, there's Mount Hope Street.
Oh, there's Mason for that.
Yep, that's right, yep. Then it continued on, I see Mason Field over there. And here's where it crossed over Commonwealth Avenue. And it also crossed over Town Street. Now, I went down to Town Street with a video, and I took well, first of all, let me go back. Right where the arrow's pointing to, there was a little train depot there. And that's roughly where today's Audio Concepts is. And there's where you can see where the train station was, and Audio Concepts was right behind it. Yeah, to kind of give you a little idea where you are. And you can see there was two sets of tracks right there. So it was a pretty wide rail bed. And then here's a nice picture. Now there's the barn. You can see the building there. And you can see the train as it's crossing over, going down Commonwealth Avenue. And
That's the Falls Bar Museum?
that's the Falls Bar. Yeah, that's the barn museum. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And then then it continued on. Here's where it crossed over. The blue arrow's Town Street, and the red arrow is Freeman Street. So I did a little video of each one. Here's Town Street. And again, I'm not going to do the sound. I'll just walk you through it. Roughly, there's where the train came through, right here. That's where it came from, North Attleborough. And then it went around, and it crossed over the road here at grade and continued on to Attleborough. Now down on Freeman Street, the train went under the road, so there had to be some sort of a bridge here. Does anybody remember when there was a bridge there? Probably not, no. So here's Freeman Street, and you can see how deep the gully is over there. So I'm convinced that the train had to have gone under the road. And then that was coming from North Attleborough, and continued on to Attleborough. Now here is where it crossed over in Attleborough, down on Deanville Road. That's like if you go down North Avenue, Deanville Road is kind of on the right, just before you get to West Street. So I took a video down there, Deanville Road. And coming from North Attleborough, from that direction. And but the other clue I've noticed, the telephone poles. See the telephone poles? That tells me that guarantees almost where the train went. In fact, there was in Attleborough. You're going to notice there was two sets of railroad telephone poles. Now you'll see that in a second. Here's West Street, right where Roberts Ford used to be. There is, you can see, well, there's only one set of telephone poles there, but that's coming from North Attleborough. And crossed over the road at grade, that way. And then now you can see the two sets of telephone poles. And then South Attleborough, South Main Street in Attleborough is where it crossed here. Right there, yeah.
Times we've gone by that.
I know, huh? I mean, you know, I look at these, after doing all this research, I'm thinking, wow, how many times have I gone by there and there's where the train came from, North Attleborough? And who would have thunk that's where the train came from, you know? And then there's the same view, that was the Simmons Company, RF Simmons Company, and that's where CVS is today. And then, here we go. This is Peck Street, and I'm sorry. That's Bank Street right there. The arrow is pointing to. I did a video there too. This is Bank Street, and again, train came from North Attleborough in that direction. Crossed over the road at grade and went to Attleborough. Now, here's where it kind of makes the turn and the loop around onto the train tracks. You can see the tracks up above coming from, I'm not sure if they're coming from Seekonk or someplace, but anyway. So that's where they made the connection. And you can, if you look at it, you really can't see, you can kind of see where the roads were and still are, the property lines and everything. And that's where the train was.
The right-hand side, you can see that building, that second congregational, right before the bridge.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's
behind-
right.
Behind it is a graveyard, or
That-
the
Uh-huh.
Kirkyard Burying Ground or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Good observation, yeah.
And I think the other track went to TI
Oh, is that what it was?
complex.
Okay,
And it's
yeah.
actually the Attleborough Taunton line.
Was it Attleboro Taunton line? Okay, yeah.
Huh.
Sure. And that's still active too, I think, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great line.
Yeah, okay. And, here's, this is where I took the following video. Look 'em up in a second. It's not coming up. Come on. Come on. What's going on here? Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is where it made the connection, went up. And again, I'm sure that this dirt was all added later. But the train went by there and made the connection there. I didn't go all the way up to the tracks because I wasn't sure if with being so close there, I figured I'd kind of stand back. You never know.
You don't eat here.
Amtrak going by there.
What's that first street we see by the yellow house?
Is it Peck Street? I think it's Peck because it goes on the underpass.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's
Right,
Peck Street, I
thank you.
think, yeah. The Gee Whiz line. Now, in 1903, the New Haven Railroad line discontinued its lease with the Attleborough Branch Railroad line with the addition of the new railroad line between North Attleborough and Adamsdale Junction. We'll talk about that one after. And at that point, the Attleborough Branch line was electrified so that streetcars could run on it. This was known as the Gee Whiz line. So that's what the Gee Whiz line is, yeah.
I think get the name Gee Whiz, that's what I want to know.
You know, I'm
It
not
went
sure.
so fast, it was gee whiz.
There you go. That's why I'm glad I'm here, because people like this know the
Yeah,
answers.
Gee whiz, hang on to your hat.
Oh, okay. See, I learned stuff too.
Yeah, I would like to wonder that too. I'm wondering because I heard that people used to call it that.
Yeah.
And now I seriously wonder what the backstory of the nickname is about.
It was also that it was a short line, so Gee Whiz, it was gone before you know it.
There you go.
And it went real fast.
It probably lasted for just under a year.
Yeah, I think they discontinued around in the 30s, I think.
It was Gee Whiz, you would
Yeah.
miss it.
Ronnie, Ron, how fast was really fast?
Yeah.
Well, back
Could
then,
be 10, 20 miles an hour.
that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
It was fast.
Probably speed.
So now we'll talk
Twice the
about,
speed of a horse, easy, right?
so now we'll talk about the Rhode Island and Massachusetts Railroad that started in Franklin and went to Valley Falls. Now that line was established in 1873. And we'll only cover the part of the railroad that went through North Attleborough. And it was just a small little section of North Attleborough known as Adamsdale.
Was this the line that had stops in Dining Hill and?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just to give you just a quick history, it went through West Rentham, crossed over West Street, continued on, and next time you go to the ice cream machine and you look across the street where the Diamond Hill Park is, went right through there, Grants Mills, exactly, yep. Continued on, and
Quaker Road was where.
Quaker Road, yeah, you know, yep, exactly,
The other station
Yep.
was.
yep.
And the right of way is still there all along.
Exactly.
Through there.
Yeah, I did a whole video on that line in and of itself, and I followed it. Even, I couldn't get to the trestle that went over the reservoir, but I took a Google Earth picture, I figured that's good enough.
This is a little intimidating. My brother was took me out there when I was about 4 or 5. I walked across there,
Really?
put me down through the top.
Whoa, really? Wow. And they don't allow people in there anymore, it's all fenced in, and I wasn't about to risk getting arrested.
Yeah.
Google Earth was fine. But here's the map showing Adamsdale, and that arrow is pointing to where the line crossed under Mendon Road. Now, I would have thought, gee, knowing Mendon Road the way I do, you would have thought it crossed that grade. But no, it crossed over. So I mean, under Mendon Road. And here's a picture of the bridge. Now, this is the early 1900s, so that bridge, keep in mind that bridge is before car. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, well, hey, I'm sure that there were very few cars, and the cars that did go, well, one at a time, you know, but take turns. But anyway, that's what it looked like on Mendon Road. Yeah. Yeah. Now, here's a Google Earth view of the Adamsdale section of North Attleborough. And this is the arrow's pointing to Mendon Road. I took this video, and sure enough, look at that. I mean, they had to have brought in a lot of dirt, which they did, and we'll talk about that. You know, when they did away with the bridges, they brought in all this dirt, and I guarantee you a lot of this dirt that was downtown North Attleborough and used for all these trestles and everything, that's where the dirt came from.
Metcalf and High Street.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Straight down from my house, if you walk in the woods, you can
That's right.
walk on.
That lot's for sale, and one of the issues is,
Oh.
I think it's only perked for like
Yeah.
one bedroom or something, so it's sat there empty for years now.
Yeah,
Still
Where you
is.
would hand to it on the, I guess, the northern side.
yeah.
So they can't get rid of that land now. It does drop,
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's
Because
good
if
to
you
know.
walk through the woods, you can walk right through to Jamala and you see where the tracks were and you can see.
Well, that was the
tracks
other
were.
one.
Oh, wow.
Talk about where
Yeah.
the line veered off.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna see Huntsbridge Road where it crossed over
Yeah.
that, and there's so much dirt that had to have been removed. It's like, oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah.
So we'll talk about that, yep. Now, here's the arrows pointing to Depot Street where the Adamsdale train station was.
Yeah.
And here's the video of Depot Street with the Adamsdale train station.
Now, the building is still there, but it was moved, wasn't it?
You're stealing all my thunder. Yeah, I want that. You'll see, I'm gonna show you. Yeah. It's it's really a nice shape too. In fact, right over on Depot Street, a couple of houses over, they moved it. The guy's got a beautiful, I'll show you a picture of it.
So this is the extension that goes behind the old Calvary, the cemetery, and all of that.
I guess so,
In
yeah.
Cumberland.
Yeah, yeah,
Off of,
exactly, yes, it is, yeah. Reservoir Road. Yeah. Okay, so here's the Adamsdale train station, and this building still exists today. There it is. Pretty nice, huh? Yeah, I stayed at the street. I didn't go up to the up the guy's driveway and say, hey, can I take a picture of your shed? You got a piece of railroad history here. But I didn't.
Joe, where is
Right on Depot Street in North Attleboro. Well, yeah, North
It's
Attleboro.
that depot and the new cul-de-sac right at the corner there. There's a colonial with a attached two-car garage.
Exactly.
To the left.
Yeah,
But it was closer to Curran.
yeah, exactly right. Because I wasn't sure where it was at first, and then I was driving down the road. I looked, there it is.
Yeah, it doesn't match. I was looking at the map, and
Yeah.
it's like, that's not where it
Yeah.
is now, so.
Right, but it's there
And
now.
It's Depot Street.
And it's there now, and it looks good. Did a nice job on it.
They were trying to get rid of that several years ago.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thankfully they saved a piece of history.
Yeah.
That means something to us anyway. The Old Colony Railroad. This is from Norwood Central to Attleborough. Now this railroad line, I'm only going to talk about from Plainville on to North Attleborough, but just a little bit of history on it. It started in Norwood Central, went through East Walpole, went to Norfolk, Plainville, Rentham first, crossed over 140 in Rentham, went over Wampum Corner, went through the Rentham Premium Outlets. and yeah, in fact, you go to Rentham Premium Outlets, and just before you make your turn into the road, you're going to cross over the railroad bed. You can see that. But it continued on to Plainville, and that's where we'll start our discussion, where it started in Plainville. There's the Plainville train depot that was down on West Bacon Street. And this is a view of Google Earth that shows the roundhouse that's still there today. It's right on West Bacon Street as you're going up, almost across from, what was the factory? Hilco, they just closed. Just where Hilco is.
Okay.
And the red line is kind of indicating roughly where the tracks were. And there was a bridge there. And the trains went under the bridge. Yep. Now, and I drew in that white circle, that's where the turntable was. And if you go down there, you can just see some remnants of the cement wall. You can actually see right in the gravel of the driveway. So that's where the turntable was.
We lived for a while at 99 West Bacon.
The what? 99?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our children were small.
Oh yeah.
And when we were going home,
Yeah.
they'd kind of pick up a little bit of speed just before the bridge. The bridge was so steep.
Yeah.
If you went over it, then you speed it off.
Oh wow.
The kids got there on the amusement.
That's the same way it was in Rentham Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I know somebody got hurt really bad in a head-on collision going over that bridge.
On the way to Shears Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you make a left at the center.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Now, there was a story that appeared in the Regional Recorder in 1965. This is really something. I got two stories about this. The first one, now back in the 1890s when they were building this railroad, they were bringing in truckloads of dirt, railroad cars with dirt. And the arrow's pointing behind, that's where today's police station is, the town hall and everything. That's where the school was. So there was very boggy conditions back then. It was just muddy. So they're bringing it, there was a train that was coming in from Wampum Corner with about 4 cars full of dirt, tons and tons of dirt in each car. Well, it was getting late in the day, so they said, why don't we disconnect the engine, bring it to the engine house, and then tomorrow morning we'll go back and we'll finish the job. They went back, the cars were gone. Those railroad cars disappeared from the face of the earth. They sank in the mud and they're gone. They're still there to this day. Imagine that. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then the other story, there was a train coming in from North Attleborough into Plainville, and you can see the roundhouse, and the roundhouse had the turntable. Well, here's another story of the engineer not noticing the switch target in the wrong direction, and instead of the track being lined up to the railroad line, it was lined up to the turntable. Here we go again, onto the turntable, crashed through the building. Only this time it stopped at the bridge abutment. But the engineer, he got laid off for a year as a punishment. His name was William Parsons. So, but anyway, nobody got hurt. But, it's another little story. So. And here's West Street in North Attleborough. And there's the bridge. Now, if you look very carefully, you can see the tracks. In fact, you can see a railroad car the arrow's pointing to. At this point, the tracks are still on ground level. But now they're building the bridge, and they put up the trestle, and then the wall is up, obviously. But if you look very carefully to the left and the right, you don't see any dirt. And we'll talk about how they brought that dirt in later in the presentation. And that was always a mystery. How do they move all this dirt? Back in the 1880s, 1890s. We're going to see. Stay tuned. And then it crossed over High Street. Under High Street. And you can see the High Street Bridge. And there's the train station at Broadway. And yeah.
That house is still there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they did some changes though. Look at that arch there. I think that's changed now. I think, but yeah, the house is still there. Yeah. And I guess the bridge only got taken out in the 70s. I think it was.
Just lowered.
Is that looking north with
okay.
to the right?
This is coming. That's from Plainville going towards. Coming into North Attleborough.
Is that the Bliss House?
Where? No, that's on High Street.
This house would be on the right side of this.
The old house is on the
Train
far
station.
side.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
Broadway's over here.
There are two
Oh.
houses where the train station is now.
Mr. Beauchesne of the lumber
Yeah.
company built his house about where that
Yeah,
stand
there was his house is there.
Oh, yeah, right. One with the gates and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And then there was the station at the Broadway condominium, so,
Towards the
Freight
train,
station.
yeah, yeah. Train station, so there was two stations basically.
So
in the
that's
same
still,
area.
that line was still doing freight in the early 50s, because I remember hearing trains
Oh, no
running on
kidding.
that.
Yeah, there's a freight station and there's a maintenance yard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ah.
go up there and collect coal, put pennies on the track.
Oh, gee, oh, yeah, did we all, huh? Here's the train crossed under Broadway. Here's a cool picture, it was taken from the Webster Building. And you can see the trains going under Broadway, under Broadway, going downtown. And the tracks over to the right are going to Adamsdale. And so much vegetation has grown in since then, huh?
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just amazing how things have changed.
Paula just said that this is where President candidate Dewey
Yeah.
stopped for campaign stop.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Huh, wow. Now, I went behind the Webster Building when it was still there. And I took a video, I'm kind of glad I took it when I
Just got
did.
torn down this year.
Yeah, I watched it, that was something. But yeah, this is, right here is where the tracks were, one set. And then you can kind of see where the train went under Broadway down there. And then up there is where it went off to Adamsdale. And then downtown, and here's where I would have given, and I'm still going to give Ronnie LaRoe credit for telling me about the blocks out here, because that's what these were, right here.
Yeah, that bridge was still up in the mid-sixties when I was a kid.
Was it? Okay, now,
The
okay.
Dexter building was still.
I'd love to get a picture of that. Do you have any pictures of that? I'd love to see a
It
picture
was a
of it.
typical grand abutment, it was a trapezoid kind of thing.
Right.
The iron bridge was still up, just like.
And
it
the
was
bridge was still up. Wow.
I should remember that, and I don't.
They tore it down probably around
Yeah,
66, 67, maybe
yeah,
there.
see.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember that, huh?
No, I'm not old enough.
Oh,
I think vaguely, maybe. Yeah.
It's like, look right around the corner.
So basically, the granite from those abutments is what constructed our walls out
Exactly.
and the stairs,
And the stairs, right.
Wow.
Yep.
thanks to Milton Cash.
Yeah. So the train went across South Washington Street on raised ground, and all that dirt was taken away. And we'll talk about that later. And there they are. There they are. Yep. Put to good use. Now here is where the train crossed over the 10-mile river, and believe it or not, the arch is still there. If you go into that mobile home park, it's right there. So I went and I took this.
Where are you?
Let's see, if you go down Chestnut Street,
Yeah,
take a right,
yeah.
and if you go into the trailer park right there,
Oh, yeah.
right there.
Okay, thank you.
This is behind Riley.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of behind Riley.
Exactly, yep.
Now, the train went underneath and the road went above?
No, the opposite.
Underneath is the 10 miles.
Oh, all right, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, all this dirt that was up there is all gone now. I mean, we're talking a lot of dirt. And then it crossed over Jefferson Street, which is what it was back then. You know, today we know Jefferson Street starts where the liquor store is and goes on. But that was Jefferson Street back in the day. Because there was no East Washington Street back then. That was in the 1930s that they put that in. But it crossed over here, and again, it was above grade, so it was across the trestle, which is long since gone. And then this is where it connected to the Attleborough branch line, North Attleborough branch line, and that's where it ended. So that would be that's the Old Colony line that came from Norwood Central to North Attleborough.
So they were parallel tracks then.
Yeah, right. The tracks for the train were on the right side of the road,
Yeah.
and then this line connected to that track.
Yep.
Then the tracks that were in the road were the trolleys.
Different gauge.
Probably, yeah, probably. Now, the New Haven, this is the one that, from North Attleborough to Adamsdale. It was established in 1903. And the trains on this line operated until service ended in 1938. So here here's where the train goes under Broadway, but the blue line is the one that they added, and it went to Adamsdale. So again, we're behind the Webster Building, and we saw, and just a refresher, there's that picture again.
Yeah.
There's the train going off to Adamsdale. And here's Roosevelt Avenue.
Yeah.
And-
That looks good.
Yep, yeah, you know where that is, huh?
I know.
I played there, I grew up near there, we played there constantly
Yep.
on the tracks.
Train went right over.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
bridge was
too.
up till about
I never knew what
65
it
or
was
so.
though. like, it
Right,
was just
and then on the other side of the street,
stones out.
they took some of those
You know.
blocks and they made like a wall.
For the condos there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Metcalf Road. There's Metcalf Road. And again, there's so much dirt that they put in there, you know, they just took one from one place and put it to the other. Now here, the train continues on, and it crosses Ellis Road. Now Hickory Road was not there back when the train was running.
Right.
That was only an addition later. Now, I'm gonna try not to confuse the heck out of you, but here's a map. The blue line, it represents the railroad. Hoppin Hill Avenue goes between the reservoir, and then it becomes Hickory Road, right where Ellis Road is, okay? But Ellis Road Hickory was not there at the time. Now, they wanted to avoid a crossing of the train at grade on Ellis Road, so they said, let's create a little diversion for the road. Let's go down to a gully and put a little railroad trestle down there. I'm gonna show you a video in a second. But that's what the red line represents. And then that meant that Ellis Road was kind of detoured away, okay? Now I'll show you a little video. Here's that gully going down. You can just see the trestle down there. So if you know, my wife and I go walking down there every day, and I saw Ronnie on his bike down there one day. And so as you're going down Ellis Road, you can kind of go down there. Actually, I did walk down there one time. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't there a train station at the top of Buckland Street?
on top of what?
Buckland, before it crossed.
It might
Metcalf
have,
Road.
might have been.
Station.
It was a
Right by
freight.
Colburn.
Yeah.
Oh, by Colburn?
There's a freight station and maintenance yard.
Okay.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
I think that the Ellis Road is the spot where there was a very unfortunate accident.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Sure it was.
Oh, yeah, the Hinskies, that's what you're talking about, Ronnie.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, they thought they could jump a car across Ellis Road. They didn't remember science class about dropping from
This whole thing called gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it
one
was
of the
unfortunate.
kids
Yeah.
got killed there.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought everybody got killed on
And-
that one.
Well, actually, my grandmother said that the driver survived.
Ooh.
He did.
Yeah, that's what I
They were all in
heard.
my class.
Sorry?
They were in my class, the
Oh,
drivers
wow.
survived.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's what I heard.
That's too bad.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Peter was a wonderful guy. He was like the class president. He was the
Really,
football
huh?
team cap.
Wow.
He was just like the guy that friends with everybody. He was very.
That's
But
too bad.
unfortunately, he went with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Goes to show you that the best people just go with the worst ones.
Right.
So here's where the train crossed Hoppin Hill Avenue, and the bottom arrow. The top arrow is where it crossed under Allen Avenue. So I'll show you a couple of videos there. Now, look at those, look at how high that is, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is Hoppin Hill Avenue,
yeah.
and this is Allen Avenue. And Allen Avenue was, the train went under. So again, when they took the bridge out, they filled it all in with dirt. And then it continued on, went under 295. Wait a minute, no, 295 wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 295.
10 wasn't built.
I'm being funny.
When they were building it around 1968.
Oh, yeah.
Roaming there with some friends following it, and the roadbed was all still dirt.
Oh, yeah, oh,
Back when
yeah.
The car down, so we were running up and down the road.
Oh, were you?
We can do this without getting run over before the car was actually.
Ah, cool.
You could clearly see back then.
Yeah.
You know, now it's almost impossible to find.
Well, the nice thing about Google Earth, you can kind of see where the trees are. And
Right.
that's what
When
it
you drive to
helps you.
95,
Yeah.
spotted, it's all over.
And then the railroad passed over Payne Road and over Hunts Bridge Road. And here's Payne Road. And here's Hunts Bridge Road. And then it connected to the Massachusetts-Rhode Island line at Adamsdale Junction. Now, that's different from Adamsdale train station. Adamsdale Junction had its own little train station. And it was right here that, just where those houses are, roughly in there is where the Adamsdale Junction occurred. And there's the train station. I call it a train station, it really was just a little station.
Is that a stop sign he's holding?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it a what?
Stop sign.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
It's like a tennis racket.
Yeah.
He was signaling for the train, so it was an on-demand stop.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh.
Now, Diane and I go walking down rail trails quite a bit, and maybe a lot of you two do as well. And you know, well, this is the one in Holliston, okay? So, as with a lot of rail trails, you're walking along, nice and smooth, it's level, it's not like this, get windy or anything. So I'm thinking, boy, the railroad got really lucky, didn't they, huh? They found this nice plot of dirt, and it's straight, it's not hilly and everything. But then you look to the left, you look to the right, say, wow, we're really up on high ground. What the heck? I mean, it must be that they brought in all this dirt. But how did they do it? We're talking 1840s, 1850s. Wow. So it just always escaped me how they did it. And where did this dirt come from? Well, further down the track, there's this area with a nice bridge. But in this case, you see how it's a big gully? Well, that was probably not a gully at the time that the train went through. They dug out all that dirt. And that's exactly what they did. As a matter of fact, there was an information board down there, and it talked about that. And the information, according to an information board, it said that removing this dirt right here was a major obstacle that they faced because the earth was of a character that was more difficult to remove than rock itself.
Yeah.
So, now, mystery solved, finally. I'm on a Facebook group with the New Haven Railroad line, and a guy sent me some pictures that answers the question. Here's how they moved the dirt. Come on, I'll remove the slide here. Now give it a second. It's being fussy. Come on. Okay, here we go. Look at this. It's a temporary trestle. It's just rudimentary. But what is it doing? It's allowing them to, look at the dirt on the left and the right of the trestle. They got these dump cars, they position them, and then the cars, as you'll see in the next picture, the cars go to the side and dump all the dirt on both sides of the trestle. It just buries it. And that's how they, yeah, now watch this. See?
Yeah.
Look at that. Now these cars are the same type of ones that buried down there in Plainville. Because look at all the dirt, I mean, can you imagine how much weight there is?
Yeah.
And then they went downstream and they got more dirt. And
How did the dirt get into that thing?
that's the question I'm still wondering.
Shovels.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean,
Any manpower, labor.
Well, they could have had steam shovels, I think.
okay. Well,
Right?
that,
Likely.
The
yeah,
big old, what is it, Vicrous?
yeah. Something. I don't
Old
know.
power steam shovels, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Did they bury the trestle?
Oh yeah, it's buried. Yeah, they just buried them. So,
It's like the
but
airline in Connecticut where they
probably yeah, just buried
the
it.
trestles when the engines got so heavy.
Yeah.
That's how they solved it. They just buried it.
Oh, there you go.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, they just buried it. So when we walk down those rail trails, you can say, "Hey, there's a trestle underneath us." It's probably rotted away by now.
Never
But
would have thought that.
yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw that. So anybody got any questions?
That is very cool.
So did you ever find out when the valley falls in Norwood?
Yeah.
So basically the main line through North Attleborough, did you ever find out when that shut down? Because I always wonder that. Was it in the
Yeah.
60s or the 50s? Everybody's saying
Probably
different
50s,
answers.
60s, yeah. Anybody know how Cedar Junction got its name?
Cedar trees.
Nope, I'll tell you. Cedar Junction.
The prison, you mean?
Yeah, the prison. But it wasn't always Cedar Junction wasn't always a prison. Cedar Junction was a train station in Walpole. Yeah. And when you see a junction is when two railroads cross each other. And there's a special thing that they have. It's like an assembly of rails. And that allows trains to cross over without doing any switching or anything. So that thing is called a diamond. And I know, I've got a picture of the actual Cedar Junction diamond. When they dismantled that junction, they dragged it away over to like a place where they do lumber and everything. And it's still there to this day, so I went and I took a video of it. But Cedar Junction, so that junction was long since been abandoned. So finally the town of Walpole says, you know, why do we keep calling the prison Walpole? Hey, you're gonna go to Walpole. You know, and then we gotta figure out a better way. We don't want to always be associated with the prison. So they said, hey, let's name the prison Cedar Junction. Okay, they did. Yeah. But that line started at Norwood Central. And if you ever go down Dean Street in Norwood, you run this big arch. Well, and you see 1890 on that bridge. That's the line. That's where the line began. Went through East Walpole and went behind Walpole High School. There's an industrial park off of Route 1A where the tracks are actually still in the road, believe it or not. I've got videos of all that when I did on that actual line. And it continues on. If you ever go down 115 in Norfolk, and I remember, in fact, I remember the bridge that was there, and the abutments were just enough for 2 cars to get through. And I remember that when that was there. In fact, I used to work in the diner in Franklin, and the guy that I worked for had a horse over there at Foxborough Raceway. His name was Homestretch Bess. Let's go see Homestretch Bess. So we got into his Cadillac, 61 Cadillac, and we're going down 115, and we were behind this guy, he was slow, and we were approaching this bridge, the railroad bridge. He said, I gotta get past this guy, so he passes him. Here we are, we're passing this guy, we're going underneath that trestle, like this, right underneath there. I remember that trestle being there. So then I got to Rentham, like Route 1A, the bridge is still there, and it crossed over under 140, and then went to Wampum Corner. In fact, in Wampum Corner, the building is still there for a little depot that's there. And you know where the VFW is in Rentham? And behind there's a little shack. And that shack apparently was the snack shack at Wampum Corner. Yeah. So, what else?
If you follow up into Walpole, crosses, it went under Route 27, McKendall Street, you can still see the valley there where we're underneath it.
Talk
These
about
are all
Walpole.
plank bridges, just Broadway, High Street. These are all just wooden plank bridges. Even when I was a kid, crossed over these, so you go up really high and down the other side.
Talk about Walpole, here's an interesting thing. You've heard of Ripley's Believe It or Not? He used to have a column in the Boston Herald. Back in the day when the old colony line was still there, you could not drive into Walpole Center on any main road without either crossing over or under a railroad bridge.
But not anymore.
Not anymore, because the old colony line's gone. But back in the day, you could do that because the lines kind of converged like this here. So that no matter what road you took, 1A, 27, whatever, you crossed over or under railroad tracks.
When they took on the bridge at Washington Street in East Walpole, those cars used to get stuck under all the time.
Yeah.
Trucks.
Yeah. Yes.
There was also another incident where a truck driver, I think this was up on Roosevelt Avenue, his name was Leonard something, and the trailer literally got wedged underneath the bridge.
Oh, was that West Street?
Yeah, I think
West Street.
West Street.
I can't that.
What year was that? Does anybody know what year it is? Because I seen it on the town Facebook page.
That happened on West Street, I think.
Yeah, West Street.
West Street.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of that. Yeah.
The late 50s, I think?
Late 50s, yeah.
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 Never the bridges were up.
Yes.
When I lived in Rentham, there was a railroad bridge that went over Creek Street.
Oh,
You know what line that
I
was?
forgot to mention that one. I've got a picture of that too, yeah.
Okay.
I remember going down, and here's another example of removing all this dirt. You know, if you're going towards King Philip, you go down like this.
Yeah,
On the right, on the left, it's like a hill going up to where the tracks were,
yeah,
right? But on the right, it's like, it's all dug out.
yeah.
And it's for an extended period. I'm thinking, this isn't right. Where were the where's all the dirt? I guarantee you, a lot of that dirt was taken away, and some of it's probably at Metcalf Road, some of it's probably at Allen's Avenue, etc. But they dug all that out, but they didn't do it on the other side. But yeah, in fact, if you go down Creek Street on the right, in the wintertime when everything is, the leaves are all gone, you can see the stones, the big stones from the bridge abutment just kind of stacked there, all piled up.
A naughty note on that is my friends and I used to drop snowballs off the bridge.
Oh!
We had to take off a couple times.
Oh, we used to take chunks of, the stones, put them on the track, and then the train would go by.
No.
Is that what they call up the creek?
A lot of these abutments were still there in the 80s when they started taking them down, like on West Street at one corner and around there.
Right,
And,
exactly, yeah.
The 115 was still there until about 15 or 20 years ago when they widened the road.
Right,
When
right.
you're driving through there, you could barely fit.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I think
That's the one I
reason-
went under, yeah.
The reason they redid that and widened the road is because there was either a head-on or a scrape as cars went through there.
That's the one I went under, passing the car. That I was driving.
Well, that was certainly wonderful, Joe. Thank you. Mark, could you get a case of water on the refrigerator?
Yeah.
Put it on the table? I think our next, Sue Caldwell helped me out here, but our next event is actually our October presentation.
Right.
So we can just leave the chairs in place.
Yes.
Okay. Joe will stick around and answer any questions, and we have some refreshments, and Sandy has raffles tickets, so thank you.